What's up, internet? It's your boy Crash Out Gang, and I'm here with another video for you. If you don't know who I am the creative director for xCephasx Studios, where we create 3D animations for pig farms and flower gardens. So if you need an animation, holler at your boy. Today's video is Batty Boy Terry here doing Batty Boy Terry things. Let's see what Terry's up to. No, I'm just joking, guys. We're not watching Street Fighter stuff. Today's video is the Anthony Fantano, Tyler the Creator. Tyler done called out everybody, said everyone's a joke in music. I'm Tyler the Creator. I take everything so seriously. Let's go. Let's get into this. Isn't it funny that when Tyler first came out, he was just like, I don't care about anything. Screw the music industry. It's a joke. It's a game. And then when he gets all the success, he then turns around and defames everybody for doing the exact same thing that he did. Interesting, isn't it? Let's go, guys.
Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. Seems that Tyler, the Creator, is in a bit of hot water at the moment. Controversy. What else is new? Actually, this is kind of strange. It's been a while since Tyler or anything that he said has been a hot topic of discussion, or at least, like, you know, it feels like we're in such a different era right now as opposed to when he originally broke onto the scene with Odd Future, and you really couldn't get away from the guy because there was like a new headline about him every second about something he tweeted, something offensive he did, some other wild, crazy thing that happened live. But as Tyler's music and his personality has changed and shifted over the years, he's matured quite a bit, and while he still remains to be a very eccentric and a very opinionated character, he seems to be a lot more careful these days about what he says and when exactly he says it, so that he kind of ignores some of the more polarizing pitfalls that he used to constantly be in earlier in his career. With the exception of what we are about to talk about today, an appearance that he did in this Mavericks interview series that is hosted by Maverick Carter. Before we get too deep into all of that, though, I want to do a quick shout out to our sponsor for this video, Factor.
If there's one in Factor now, tweak the box approach in a month of
only episode of this interview series I have watched. It's kind of hard to call Maverick, at least in this video, an interviewer per se, because a lot of the time it just kind of seems like he's throwing in a few words or comments in edgewise as Tyler is just like on a roll, just like a complete runaway train who just can't be stopped in the midst of the rant that he's on. Specifically in the section of the interview where Tyler sort of seems to be really just venting about what he sees as the modern state of the music industry. There are some things he said in this section of the interview that have rubbed people the wrong way. Personally, I think he gets some of his points right, some of them maybe not so much. First off, he throws out this big gripe about musicians out there who are getting hot and getting popular and making waves off of what he sees as meme records. According to him, they're not actual musicians.
There's so many niggas out right now that...
Oh, here we go, guys. Who does he think he is, Fantano? How are you going to say anything is music or isn't music? What is this? You would be some sort of like music elitist? Some sort of music purist, Tyler? Is that who you think you are? You and Fantano might as well get in a hot tub together, man. Huh?
Aren't musicians that are getting treated like musicians because they make meme records or whatever. And I'm like, bro, this nigga's out here that's really special, really aliens, really talented, really putting in the work.
A lot of people have taken issue.
Yeah, but bro, come on, man. The people that are special and super talented, most of the time, those people just fall to the wayside, bro. They're water under the bridge. Some of the most talented are the most brokest, bro. It's not all about talent, dude. It's the music business. You know the music business better than most, Tyler. Huh, Ty? You know it better than most. You know that buffoonery rises to the top, bro. Drama, BS, nonsense. I was gonna say Shakira, but I was thinking 6ix9ine, but for some reason my mind went to Shakira. Anyway, all of that stuff is just buffoonery, bro. Buffoonery rises to the top. You can't be out here talking about, oh, people have talent, they're so good, they're so good. Yeah, well, people have talent. You know what? Most of the time they say, I'm just going to let my music do the work. My music is so good, I'm just going to put it out and it's going to be loved by all. Such fanfare. Come hither to my mixtape that I just dropped. With such fanfare. Yeah, it's not like that, dude.
Issue with specifically this comment out of the interview, and I could kind of see why, because it does read, at least on the surface, as a bit of hypocrisy on Tyler's part, because anybody who is well familiar with his career knows that he kind of started off things in, I guess you could say, an irreverent fashion. I mean, part of what made Tyler the Creator such an interesting and compelling character for a lot of younger listeners as he was beginning to break out is that he didn't really take himself too seriously. He was always down for a joke or a gag or a spoof or a something. He was ridiculous. He was silly. He was over the top. He was.
You see, this is exactly the point I was making at the beginning of the video, guys. Like, ridiculousness. You know what? I'm too serious now for this whole video, guys. I'm too serious.
An exciting switch up from the old guard rap hierarchy that was laid out before he came onto the scene. And now, because of him and musicians like him, the landscape has completely changed. And again, I do get the aggravation a little bit because it does feel like Tyler's current day comments in this interview feel almost like a rejection of that, or almost like he kind of forgot how he got to where he is today. But
literally said that. I literally said that, bro. I literally said that. Thank you, Fantano.
With that being said, I do still think he has a point, because some of this surface level mimetic viral crap that is being shoveled down people's throats now, like even Tyler in his worst moments in his catalog, Cherry Bomb, for example, was still more interesting, musical, subversive, and substantive than that being the artist that he's, you know, railing about at this point. He's not even necessarily mad per se that there are people out there like making stupid, jokey music. He even goes on to say, like, you know, do your thing, make your bag, I'm all for that. He just seems to take issue with the fact that the audience and publications alike are emphasizing this stuff to the degree with
I'm a thug. I'm too serious for any kind of conversation. No, but listen. The consumers choose what they want to consume. And unfortunately, most times the consumer does not want to consume the good food. The good food for him, he does not want to consume it. Dada. Baba does not want to consume the good food for him, so he prefers to consume the sugar, the cookies. It's not his fault. Not his fault, bro. What do you want to eat? A bowl of salad or a hamburger, dog? Hamburger, ice cream, milkshake combo tank. Yeah, you already know the answer, dog. Baba, you know the answer.
Where it's overshadowing artists who are actually kind of worth a damn, are actually trying to create music and art that has some depth and meaning to it, losing sight of that in favor of only focusing on people who are just kind of following trends for the money. There's gonna be negative consequences to that down the road, as younger viewers and listeners are left with the impression that you don't really need to want to be driven by anything else other than money in order to make it in the music industry. There's another section in the interview where I disagree with Tyler quite a bit. This might be my biggest point of contention in the conversation, where he seems to think that these days everything is so homogenized, everybody's doing and saying the same thing, and back in the day in 2003, everyone sounded different.
You go to 2003. Jay didn't sound like T.I., who didn't sound like 50. Pharrell didn't sound like Dre, who ain't sound like fucking Quick, who ain't sound like Ye or Just Blaze or Alchemist. Eminem didn't sound like fucking Jill Scott. Jill Scott wasn't trying to sound like Julian from the fucking Strokes. Everyone was them fucking selves.
But the thing is, like, as somebody who was older than Tyler during that point in time and was an avid music consumer, while it is true, we can look back on that time in retrospect and say, hey, look, here are all these great artists who withstood the test of time, who all sound wildly different from each other. Having actually lived through that era, there was a lot of homogenization going on in the music industry in the 2000s. Maybe not as much across the board, because there was more of a filter through the industry in terms of like what could be released and what couldn't be. You weren't just like directly uploading your music to social media per se, or like to Spotify in the way that people are today. Also, on top of it, hip hop was not quite the cash cow back then that it is now. So there wasn't quite as much trend chasing in hip hop across the board, but it still very much was there. Like, this time period is referred to as the bling era for a reason. I mean, you know, 50 Cent, while we can say, like in Tyler's interview, yeah, he sounded wildly different from all of these other massive rappers who also have, sort of transcended the era that they came out of. That is true. But around that time, there were tons of lesser, way more mediocre rappers who were like just chasing after the same thing that 50 was, because that was the trend and that was the meta at the moment. Back in the day, you had Jay-Z copycats, you had 50 copycats, you had Soulja Boy copycats. And a lot of this was made worse by the fact that radio stations at the time were being bought up left and right and thrown into the same programming schedules by Clear Channel, by Viacom, so there wasn't as much variety as there used to be musically. Look, my point is ultimately there was most definitely musical and cultural homogenization.
Yes, there's always going to be copycats, but why do we need to call out these copycats? A derivative from the original, most of the time, is never really that good, you know? So, like, why are we getting mad all the time? We shouldn't get mad. Let's stop for a second and really think about this. If you're a purist and you're an elitist of music, go and do your purist and elitist thing. But partner with somebody who knows how to do promotional well. So then you have two sides of the coin. And if you're somebody who just wants to copy everybody and hop on the trends and make your money, well, go and do that. Because at the end of the day, your 4-year-old is running around naked without any clothes on and needs some diapers. Massive pause.
Going on around that time to a degree. Was it as bad as it is today? I guess we could argue that, but it did exist. And then finally, to close things out in this video, there is a section of this conversation where seemingly Tyler is talking about, without mentioning him by name, that up-and-coming rapper who I have discussed on my main channel in a not good video, Ian.
Yay!
Who personally I just see as kind of a very boring, mediocre artist who is essentially ripping off the likes of Lil Baby, of Playboi Carti, a little bit of Future.
Why do we always go, Ian's not so bad, Ian's not so bad. Come on, he's not ripping them off, bro. It's literally his influences. When somebody comes out and you guys think he's not good, you're like, oh, he's ripping them off. Bro, the man's just hit the scene. Who do you think he's been listening to before he got to that point, dude? So, of course, he's going to sound like his idols and people like that, a derivative of the original, but eventually, with enough time, he will master his craft and shit out something that is great, something of his own. But for now, we must just accept that he wears influences on his sleeve. Perfect example, Rich Amiri sounds exactly like Future, and it's disgusting. And he has not grown or done anything since. If y'all are rocking with Richard Remy, don't leave a comment down below because he stinks.
In there too. And Tyler seems to take issue with Ian and what he does, calling it like some kind of mockery of the music of Gucci Mane and of Future.
This white kid, regular like Caucasian man, and he's like mocking Future and Gucci Mane like rap music, and like people are like, this shit hard. This is like weird, and I'm looking at it, and something about it like don't even sit well with me in comparison to someone like a Mac Miller or Eminem.
Apparently, Ian's manager Boo took to social media to tear Tyler down over these comments, saying that he's essentially just hating on the youth and the stuff the kids are into these days. And there's been lots of comments as well across
It's true, Tyler does sound like an old head, bro. You sound like an unk, dog. Come on,
social media and on Reddit, essentially painting Tyler as kind of out of touch. And once again, hypocritical, because it's not exactly like Tyler took his own career super seriously out of the gate. Now, look, personally, I do think there is some validity to the criticisms Tyler is facing in, reaction to his comments that are seemingly about Ian. I just think he's going about making his points in a sort of ineffective way, because ultimately, Ian, as much as he may be a little You
know what song just came to my head? I don't know what this yapping is about Ian. Who cares? The song that just came to my head is finally got a piece of the pie. I do not know why that song was in my head. That was so random. All right, let's go.
At points. We don't necessarily have proof of the fact that he's mocking or has any kind of like irreverence for Gucci Mane or Future in the way that Tyler had quite a bit of irreverence for some of the greats that came before him early on, be it, in his public comments after he blew up or even on message boards before he got popular. And I'm not really a huge fan of his obsession with, the seriousness with which Ian or anybody else approaches their music, because I don't think the level of seriousness that you portray in your art or your public persona is necessarily a reflection of the artistic merits of your work per se. With that being said, though, I do think there is reason to point at Ian as like, an example of how viral music marketing in the current day music industry can go wrong, because it sometimes fast tracks some of the most worthless and mediocre music that mankind has ever generated. And Ian is a prime example of that, because repeatedly, when it comes to his production choices, his flows, his lyrical content, and even his song structures, he really truly brings nothing to the table that we aren't already getting, but better from at least several dozen other artists. And look, hate on Tyler for his comments all you want and call him out as like, hey, you used to be funny, you used to be childish, you used to be this, you used to be that. Also remember, during that time when Tyler was dicking around, and look, I was a very big Odd Future and early Tyler the Creator critic myself. Yeah, remember that during that time, Tyler also frickin' made Yonkers, and I would put money on Ian over the course of his entire career. Yeah, he's never gonna make a track that is as good or is as impactful as Yonkers. I guarantee Ian's entire career will come and go without a single song that is as good or as important as Yonkers, because he's not bringing the musicality, the substance, or the artistry that he's going to need to do that, even as he's bringing other people into the fold. Because let's remember, Tyler the Creator was very much a self-starter at the beginning of his career, having written and performed and conceptualized Bastard on his own. Meanwhile, Ian is just basically doing the same crap that a bunch of other rappers that are also not that interesting are doing, but he's just a white guy doing it. Like, again, I think Tyler could have put his words better, but I can understand why he would see that and just be like, what the fuck is this shit? Why is anyone excited about this? Because it really is that mediocre and uninteresting. So yeah, while I do think he may have left himself exposed rhetorically at a few points there, I don't think there's anything wrong with Tyler pointing out the fact that, like, there's no reason Ian should be as big of a deal as he is right now, because he really is doing nothing special whatsoever. And while sure, he and his man
finally got a piece of the pie. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Pantano, that was so much yacht, bro. Let everybody do what they need to do, and let's get it done. Pies.